guys, be ready.
I guess that's one way to do it.
We have the facts.
Hi, my name is Rick Howe. I'm the host of Talk Back to Television here on USA Today. This is my new show called Talk Back for Change. We are talking to people in the entertainment business who are working in their communities to make a real change. Stay tuned. I think you'll. Hi, this is the second episode of Talk Back for Change, my show about how the wonderful people in our business are making this a better place to live. And today's guest is none other than Ashley Swartz. Ashley, how are you?
I'm blessed. How are you, Rick? Nice to see you.
And the first time I believe I met Ashley, we were just chatting about this, was I had a panel in New York City in 2012. And I found out that Ashley, who was on my panel, had been just days before that panel distributing food and helping the families on the Jersey Shore after Hurricane Sandy. So that's a great place to start. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to talk about what you're doing today, okay?
Awesome.
Tell us about Hurricane Sandy. What was that about? What did they need? What did you do?
Well, you know, I was sitting, I had evacuated to central Pennsylvania, which is where I grew up, and had friends there that had lost their home in the flooding from Irene the year before. And they said something that sort of resonated and stuck with me while I was watching my neighbors in New York, in the city in all 5 boroughs sort of be displaced and dealing with the aftermath of that hurricane, that the first normalcy they felt after losing their home in Irene was when they made a makeshift table and they sat down with the food boxes and the meals they were getting from the Red Cross, and they broke bread. And sitting there with them, and then them, you know, they were interested in helping. And I sort of had this idea, and, you know, I was a media person. So I thought, well, media can be my weapon for good here. And what started out as, you know, bringing Thanksgiving meals, I did the math and I was like, I can pay for it myself. If I can get meals and I had somebody to cook it, you know, in a commercial facility, which they offered up, we can make this happen. And it turned into 5 boroughs, over 2 days, over 3,000 meals served. The mayor's office signed up and ran the bus service to Far Rockaway. And the highlight of that for me, after like moving pallets of food, because Fairway, you know, sponsored us under the overpass on the West Side Highway, was actually on Thanksgiving Day, when my father grabbed a refrigerated truck and he drove it up from Pennsylvania, because there were none left in the New York City metro area, in order to move food to an American Legion in Staten Island. And my father is a veteran. He raised me 2 Purple Hearts. It's a passion for him. And I drove with my father across the bridge to Staten Island with meals on Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of a journey of, you know, there's just sharing food, and having food is something so simple and foundational to quality of life, and so much joy that it brings in bringing people together and to break bread. And the number of people that are food insecure in our nation is something that breaks my heart, and I want to be part of changing.
All right. Now, you have evolved with that into a new program, Military Food Share. What is that? How does it work? And frankly, how can everybody who's watching this help? We're going to make sure and get to that. How does it work? What do you do?
Awesome. So I have to give my father credit, because when he is a veteran, served in the 1st Cavalry, was a combat veteran in Vietnam, and he retired to a rural county in Pennsylvania. And I just want to put some stats out there. So in the United States, you are defined as being in poverty only if you make less than $14,580 a year in 2023. Okay. So just get your head around how much a dozen eggs and a gallon of milk is nowadays, and how far you think $14,000 goes to qualify for need. Exactly. 6.5% of veterans live in poverty in the U.S. Men and women that, fought to defend our country and put their lives on the lines. And more than 25% of our veterans are disabled, which affects their ability to work. Ultimately in the U.S. in 23, the entire country, 12.8% of American households are food insecure. That means they're not sure where their next meal comes. 1 in 9 veterans are food insecure, and more than 24% of active duty veterans use food stamps.
Okay.
So this is America. I mean, this is America, and this is just, to me, unacceptable. And so I have to give my father credit, having moved to a rural, location for retirement. Typically, you have a higher percentage of the population above the poverty line. You also typically have a larger concentration of veterans. And so, he got very involved in his community in the American Legion and sort of started to see the need and started a program called Military Share that is a national program. But he has grown it to be one local that gets national attention because of its success. So essentially what the program is that he raises money, 100% of the funds and proceeds raised, much of which are provided through grants from the Elks, the American Legion, the VFW locally, and individuals, particularly my friends and in the media industry, generously donate every year. They essentially buy food at cost from the local food bank.
Okay.
And then in addition to that, they get additional food to supplement it so that they provide monthly boxes to veterans and their families in need. The last Monday of every month. And then specifically around the holidays, they try and make it as special as they can. So there's about 20 women that bake 5 dozen cookies for the 160 families that show up. So you can do the math.
Yep.
This year, the money that we raised specifically from our friends in our industry, Rick, enable us to buy turkeys or hams for the holiday meal for the families. And then we have a couple veterans that, for example, qualify for disability, and they provide their benefit cards to allow for the purchase of things like boxes of stuffing, boxes of mashed potatoes and scalloped potatoes, and loaves of bread every month to supplement the food banks, whatever's available.
We're going to run out of time. I want to make sure this is not just about Thanksgiving. This is all year long, and we'll put a tag when we run this, but how can people help? How can they donate?
So specifically, you can search for a local military share program or look to your local VFW or American Legion and see what they're doing for veterans. Okay. If you desire to help our program specifically, you can go to the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank website. Okay. And simply make a donation and put it to the attention of the Huntington County Military Share Program.
I will make sure that gets into the promotional link on this show.
I'm grateful.
And Ashley, I think that's astonishing that with everything else that you do, you are providing food and love to the people in this community who need it the most.
And they give it back tenfold.
I am sure they do. All right. That is the end of this show. It is a short show. We are talking with Ashley Swartz, who, by the way, is CEO of Furious Corp. Have to make that point. But she is making a difference, and she is changing this community. And I will say to everybody as we sign off, you can all do the right thing. Bye-bye.